If there were nuclear documents in that, is that justified, the FBI going to get it? And also you say that Donald Trump has more classified information in his head, but Mar-a-Lago is also a public club, so should those documents be in that space written down for perhaps people to access?
So this is a great question. I'm glad that you asked it. So I have served on the Strategic Forces Subcommittee in the Armed Services Committee for 20 years, including being its chair and ranking member. It depends on what the nuclear information is. You can say nuclear weapons, but there are things that are highly, highly classified. There's things that are not extremely classified, but are nonetheless classified. The other aspect with respect to access is we don't know what those documents are. I mean, I'm asking the same question you are. Attorney General Garland, Director Wray, if these things rise to the level of national security threats, to which there's an immediate need to enter the residence of a former president, perhaps future candidate of president, the person who is, has run against Garland's boss, that should have a higher level of scrutiny, right? But just tell us. I'm asking the same questions you are, and if there are rational answers for it, then he needs to come to this committee, disclose what the classified information is, disclose what the national security threat is, so that we know.
We've been here before. I remember getting questions on the Russia collusion for years. And so before you jump to conclusions and just accept information from sources who are not the Attorney General, who are not the Director of the FBI, let's see what the facts are. That's why transparency is key here. But many of you are the same reporters that asked us questions on Russia collusion, and look how that fell apart. I think it's really...
Republicans wait to see what the facts are before.
We are calling for the facts. Let me answer your question.
On Monday, Republicans came out and made a lot of justifications that this was completely simply political, that perhaps they planted information also.
And look what our House Republican leader said. Preserve your documents. That's about finding the facts. Each of us said we want answers and transparency, and the American people, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, and I call on our House Democrat colleagues, we deserve answers. We have oversight over these agencies on behalf of the American people. That is what we are calling for today. So before you jump to conclusions, we are asking for the answers and the facts.
I think it's naive to assume that the American people would not wonder, is this political? Of course they're going to wonder that. Look what's happened over the last 5 years. And look at the premise of most of your questions. Was it nuclear? Was it, heck, maybe it was aliens. That's the point. We don't know. We're asking them to tell us. And until they tell us, then we're going to have questions like this, and the presumption is going to be that it is political. There's a way to depoliticize this. Give us the information.
And when you ask the question, you're asking the question based on things that you have seen reported. And let's go back to the Russian collusion narrative and how that was carried out. Fusion GPS, etc. If we can get one media outlet to make a statement and an accusation, whether it's true or false, in that case false, then every other media outlet started running with it. Maybe not every other, but started running with it. It's been reported, it's been reported. That's what America sees, and that's the problem. And that's why we are standing here today, not accusing anyone of anything, but wanting answers. Wanting answers, same questions you have. But keep in mind how they've proven the narrative and the way they like to work things.
I want to point out the double standard here, too. We saw that this media frenzy about supposedly classified information. Where was this same media frenzy when there was 33,000 classified emails on a server in a bathroom with Hillary Clinton? Why didn't they raid that bathroom? Why did they work with her to find out a time, a date, and what documents they could and couldn't see? Did they do the same thing here with Trump, with President Trump? All we're saying is, was it treated the same? Was the scrutiny level the same? Right now, it doesn't appear that it was. As Ranking Member Turner said, what was your options? Did you eliminate all your options? Because you sure gave Hillary Clinton all her options when it came to classified information on an email. If everybody is treated equal, then good on you. If not, then you have a lot of questions to answer.
One thing we know is there's no question that the Attorney General ordered this raid upon President Biden's political rival, and that certainly rises to a higher level of scrutiny and certainly the need for oversight.
House Republicans are committed to immediate oversight, accountability, and a fulsome investigation to provide needed transparency and answers to the American people regarding Joe Biden and his administration's weaponization of the Department of Justice and FBI against Joe Biden's political opponent. President Donald Trump is Joe Biden's most likeliest political opponent in 2024, and this is less than 100 days from critical midterm elections. The FBI raid of President Trump is a complete abuse and overreach of its authority. And as the American people know, unfortunately, this is the same agency leadership that protected Hillary Clinton, James Comey, and continues to protect Hunter Biden. The same agency leadership that perpetrated the false Russia hoax for years. But the American people are smart, and they have had enough. It is unfortunately why there is a fundamental lack of trust in these agencies, and the American people deserve answers. A House Republican majority will leave no stone unturned when it comes to transparency and accountability into the brazen politicization of Joe Biden's DOJ and FBI targeting their political opponents.
Among the committee, Republicans have a concern with unsecured classified information potentially being in a storage area in Florida. Anybody have a concern with that?
Certainly. The issue of the handling of classified information is an issue that, of course, our committee deals with and that we're very concerned with. However, the issue of classified information and the tactics that are used in this instance are the ones that we're very concerned about. There were a number of options that were available to the Attorney General and the Director of the FBI besides raiding Mar-a-Lago, the former president's home, and spending 9 hours there, including going to court and requesting that the original subpoena be enforced. There were a number of court actions and steps that could have been done that would not have resulted in agents being in Mar-a-Lago for 9 hours. Now, the one thing that we all know is Donald Trump has more classified information in his head than he does in his desk. But yet they claim that there was an immediate need to enter his residence, and our committee deals with intelligence and national security issues, so we are demanding disclosure to this committee what was the national security basis that was an apparent immediate threat requiring this action opposed to all the other actions that they could have taken.
We're all asking similar questions here. You've spent a lot of time around classified information and highly classified information. Is there a situation at all in any universe that would warrant the FBI going into Trump's residence to obtain records?
I got to tell you, you are very correct. So I've dealt with classified information in my several decades of being here, including nuclear issues of classified information. I've been in the Oval Office talking to President Trump about issues of that were nuclear related. It would be very, very narrow of anything that just has the umbrella of nuclear weapons in it that would rise to the level of an immediate national security threat.
Nuclear weapons, just broadly speaking, is there any?
Well, I think that's why we're asking the question.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a number of things that that they could show us, and I don't want to speculate on what those would be, that would obviously rise to the level of maybe you didn't have any options, but I'd be very, very, very surprised as to what those are, considering the breadth of what they could have done besides this, including going to court, trying to enforce the subpoena, demanding that the documents be produced in court, besides going into his residence and spending 9 hours. It would be, and again, also knowing that presidents deal, except in the Situation Room, largely with policy issues, it would be highly unusual for a president to have anything, even in the Oval Office, that rises to the level of an imminent national security threat. Yes.
On the affidavit, I know that's not part of what's expected to be released. Is that something that you would want to be sort of publicly released, or do you kind of want the committee?
It should be released to us, and it should be released to Congress. It depends on what's in it, right? But we have demanded it be released to us, and certainly there are other committees have joint jurisdiction that it should be released to also. Last question. Last question. Yes, I'm back.
Can you think of a reason that former President Trump or any past president would need to keep classified information like that about possible nuclear weapons?
Well, again, we don't know. We don't know that it's true that he has classified information, or what it is, or that it was about nuclear weapons. I can tell you that there are a number of things that are classified that fall under the umbrella of nuclear weapons, but that are not necessarily things that are truly classified. And many of them you can find on your own phone as we stand here. And if they fall within that category, they're not an imminent national security threat that would rise to the level of you have to raid Donald Trump's home and spend 9 hours there.